Time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shot. All right, everybody. It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, Califas for another edition of the Shoe Shine Boxing Podcast. Joining me always, my co-host all the way from the city of brotherly love, Mr. Philly Irish Drew Evo. ¿Qué pasa?
What's up, Dave?
Yeah, we got a little bit of changes to our intro. A shout out to everybody who just started to join us from PMC. Nando Lama, saludos, D-Style, the man who just did a show. And we got some big news. The big news is that we are officially part of HCP. So salute to all of our brothers and sisters who are doing so many great shows. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to be calling into our homeboy Chicano Prophets show, Al Chile. I think that one's at 11 a.m., so make sure you check them out tomorrow and all the great programming. But listen, Drew, it's almost our first year anniversary on YouTube. It's been going all right. And if you haven't already subscribed, or if you're just going to be catching this replay, do us a favor and hit us up. If you like the content, if you like the show, we are a live call-in show. I'm going to activate the phone line. You want to get in on this discussion at each topic, feel free to call in, but make sure you hit that notification and the subscribe button and a like if you don't mind. Even hit us up with some comments on how you think the show could be better. That being said, Drew, can you believe all the cancellations in boxing? And can you believe that the lightweight division, I really think it's up for grabs. 2 weeks in a row, three amazing fights. Okay? We can rank them later. And you still got Lomachenko, who as of last year was pound for pound great. He's going to be making his return. I think it's going to be the last top-ranked card of the year. It's going to be a really good card, him versus Richard Comey, who Teofimo disposed of. We'll get to that later in our predictions, Drew. I don't know how did our predictions go, Drew. I mean, we talked about the Jojo Diaz fight. Who'd you say was going to win that Jojo Diaz fight? Jojo Diaz.
I had an upset.
And Devin Haney. That was a tough one to pick because I really think that Jojo Diaz said all the right things leading up to this fight. I was watching all the press conferences. I was watching his interviews, and I thought that he was in the right mind frame, just like Kambosos was. And we saw what Kambosos did. So I really thought that Jojo Diaz was going to bring it. But really, Devin Haney is a gifted, talented boxer, Drew. We can't argue that. There's a lot of people comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, whether or not he merits that comparison at all. But I want to know, man, is this lightweight division, is it a free-for-all? Is it up for grabs? Start off right off the bat, man. Did Devin Haney impress you, or did you see more things that caused you to give you some pause and say, man, he's not necessarily all he's hyped up to be despite being a gifted technician?
Devin Haney just showed how beatable he is.
And I thought for a split second that possibly Devin Haney was going to pitch another shutout and get hurt. But Jojo Diaz, even though Jojo Diaz clocked him with some sensational punches, I got a clip of one of those punches, man. I think he countered him with some great shots. Like here's one, for instance, right here. Wrong fight, guys. Sorry. Here we got Jojo Diaz. hitting.
He got chin check for it.
He's hitting. I'm gonna mute that so we don't get in trouble with the zone. But listen, he was chin checking Haney too, and he arguably won some rounds, man. I think he won at least 4 rounds. How'd you have the card, Drew?
I had a 7-5. Haney. I thought it was very close. Like, I'll be honest with you, a lot of Haney's punches were hitting glove when he was going for like his straight punches were hitting gloves. Even his punches his hooks were hitting glove a lot. Like, I really thought JoJo got inside of me real easily after like the second or third round. He really got inside him real easily, was able to land punches, body punches at will, and he got a couple of nice shots off. And he hurt Haney a couple of times.
He did. I didn't necessarily see Haney rocked. I didn't see that necessarily like we did with Linares, who had Haney dancing with his legs all funky in the 10th round. But I expected Jojo Diaz to bring it. The energy he brought in that 12th round, I couldn't help but think, man, had he brought that same energy there, and we'll get to Isaac Cruz, man, because Isaac Cruz brought it starting in round 1. I just expected more out of Jojo Diaz. I still applaud Jojo Diaz for stepping up consistently in the past year and facing every tough challenger that they put in front of him. I think he had a remarkable year at lightweight moving up. I really do. Nando Lama says, Haney never better leave 135. Not enough power for those 140 killers. Drew, he is a gifted technician. The comparison to Floyd Mayweather, I think, may be a little hollow. But what about that, man? Is he really pillow-fisted? Like pillow-fisted in the sense like Paulie Malignaggi?
I'll be honest with you, he's nothing like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd was a hell of a lot better than him at that age. Like Haney's gonna be like, tell you the truth, a lot of these guys that are punchers ain't really gonna be scared of Haney's power. They're just gonna go and keep going forward. And like they get hit, they take a couple of shots. They're gonna hope they land a big shot on them, and they land one. They can knock him out because Haney chin is very suspect still. And here's the thing, these guys were like Gamboa, Linares. They were stopped. They were knocked out. They were dropped. He didn't even drop these guys.
Yeah, I didn't think that Jojo Diaz was hurt once in this fight, and that's exactly what's worrying me for Devin Haney to have a successful run. Now, we saw that Kambosos was going to be in the house. Kambosos is doing like this this tour, basically looking for his next opponent, scoping out the situation. We know that he had a really good fight on DAZN just a couple weeks back. Okay, upsetting Teofimo Lopez, and something nobody expected to do. But the thought of Haney going down to Australia, to the land down under, you think this really interests Devin Haney, that he's willing to step it up and go all the way to Australia if a fight with Kambosos can be made?
We'll wait and see, because tell you the truth, these young guys, they just talk and they just do the opposite.
There's a lot of internet talking, man, especially coming from the words and the fingers of Ryan Garcia, Oscar De La Hoya's protege. I don't know if you've been watching him, man, but he exploded on Twitter after having that hand surgery a few weeks back that he wanted everyone to see his surgery pictures. He kind of laid low, and as soon as Kambosos won that fight, he magically reappeared on social media, calling out Kambosos, calling out Haney. I mean, I got a question to ask the chat, man, but does Ryan Garcia have an issue? And his issue that I think does he have the fear of missing out? Does Ryan Garcia have FOMO? Come on, Drew.
I want to call it FOMO. I just call it dude's anxious to practice with his bad hand to see if he can still text and everything. I'll be honest with you, man. Him and Oscar went on there and tried to promote Oscar, and I even retweeted. I was like, Oscar, shut up.
Yeah, I want to bring up this quick comment real quick from Puerto Rico and Rum. All right, he says, did the Four Kings get exposed? Teal's got his ass beat. Devin and Tank struggle with the guys they were supposed to wash. And this is exactly what we started to bring up just the week before when Teofimo Lopez was upset by Kambosos, man. This whole narrative that these were the four rising stars in the lightweight division. And I'm arguing that the entire lightweight division is up for grabs in 2022. And that even includes Ryan Garcia, depending on who he gets a comeback fight with. He's going to need a tune-up. One thing that's on my mind now is that of these four kings, Ryan Garcia was included, Gervonta Tank Davis. Two of those guys, one of them just had hand issue. I'm talking about Ryan Garcia. And now I'm awaiting to see what the word is with Gervonta Tank Davis's supposedly injured power hand. The left hand that he claims he injured, man. I haven't seen anything about an MRI scan this morning. X-rays, anything, but hand injuries can really, down the road, affect a fighter's longevity and how they use, specifically for Gervonta, man. That lead power shot was not hurting Isaac Cruz last night, and that was what was shocking. I was on texting my friend Meatruck Mike. Shout out to Meatruck Mike, who's just dropped a comment. I was like, yeah, but watch out for Gervonta Tank Davis's brutal uppercut. The uppercut that, did it ever come? I mean, to me, Isaac Cruz blocked most of those shots, man. But speaking of Ryan Garcia, and I know we don't like to talk about him much, but Gervonta in the post-press conference had some choice words, especially Floyd doing all the talking for him. Let me see if I could just cue this up real quick, and hopefully we ain't going to get flagged for this BS, but let's give it a shot.
YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
Yeah, Instagram fighter. We don't worry about him.
YouTuber.
YouTuber, yeah. He's a pretty girl.
He's a pretty girl, of which too Ryan Garcia replied, this pretty girl is going to whoop your ass. So, Drew, he's trying to insert himself into the conversation, one that I think he really doesn't deserve. I mean, he had one performance. We started off the shoe shine on YouTube this year talking about Ryan Garcia. January, he fought Luke Campbell. People were, if you pay attention to Ryan Garcia's timeline, people have turned on him a bit, man. At the beginning of the year, he could do no wrong. His fan base was strong. They'd come after you if you talk shit to Ryan. But if you look at the timeline for Ryan, there's plenty of people giving him feedback, man. And I think what it is was that when Canelo made those statements a few weeks back, you know, referencing to maybe a lack of work ethic, people just kind of turned on Ryan, like, you know, just calling, like, seriously, dude, you sat out the entire year, aside from your first fight in January of 2021. But all of a sudden now you want to get in the mix with Kambosos. You merit a shot with Tank Davis again, which, hey, Ellerby says that fight was already supposed to happen in 2020 until Ryan Garcia walked away from that opportunity for a supposed fight with Manny Pacquiao that never materialized. So I'm asking you, Drew, what chance does Ryan Garcia have of nailing one of these guys? It sounds like he'll never get near Gervonta Tank Davis now, from what I'm hearing from Ellerby.
Oh, man. You know, Ryan's a joke. Like, I really... Like, Ryan is the man that is the king of pulling out when it comes to fights, not when it comes to the other thing, when it involves his girl and everything, because he has kids. So, at the end of the day, man, you know, Ryan Garcia does not deserve a Kambosos fight. We can both agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us in the chat can agree on that also.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't see Kambosos making any effort to go hang around somewhere Ryan Garcia's hanging out. He went to the fight to see Tank, and he showed up at the he showed up to the Haney fight, and he may have also been driven over to LA the next day to see the fight with Tank as potential opponents. You know, he is a free agent. So he does have an opportunity to go fight whoever he wants to, but it doesn't seem like Ryan Garcia is at the top of the list. Or like you said, I agree 100%. He doesn't merit it. But listen, Nando Lamas just said, look, man, Tank's resume is garbage. All right. most people
Everybody knows that shit.
most people who follow the sport carefully, and this was Ryan Garcia's argument, is that Gervonta Tank Davis is fighting B and C level opponents. You know, it's going to continue to be that way, from what it sounds like from LRB and Floyd.
I'm gonna give you a overreaction. Shouts to my boy Phil. He hosts a Philly sports show in the morning. Because overreaction Monday. I'm gonna give him an overreaction. I really think Ryan Garcia should call out Lomachenko. Get himself on the map.
A makeable fight between Oscar and Bob.
Fight Lomachenko. Give yourself a good chance to make a name for yourself, or to end your career on the same night.
Yeah, I want to end the show tonight with our Lomachenko Comey breakdown predictions, because that's a name, you're right, man. That's a name that nobody calls out. After he disposed of Nakatani, people got even more silent. All right. That's why I do respect Teofimo's rise and ascension to the lightweight king that he was briefly. The question for me now is whether Kambosos, and if you ask Raleigh Romero, who didn't get the fight Tank yesterday, he had some choice words saying Kambosos is an Australian one-hit wonder. He will lose all those belts. I think he even alluded, if you give me a shot, I'll take all those belts. He's got his own personal problems, man. I mean, this guy's begging for money on Twitter, literally asking people to Zelle, that app Zelle, to send him some money because he's down to his last few bucks. He's not in the running for a Kambosos fight. Not at all. Not at all, man. Nopal says, come on, Drew. No, Lomachenko, we're going to see what he's got next week. Yeah, he's fighting someone that Teofimo already disposed of, man. But Lomachenko is somebody who was pound for pound on everybody's top 5 list as of last year. And it remains to be seen whether or not he has a pathway to get all his belts back. Oh, man. Nando Lama says, Raleigh is fighting Tank next. Come on. He probably is. From everything we hear from LRB, like they're not talking about putting Tank in with anybody dangerous. We saw that Cruz, a last-minute opponent, gave him so much problems, man.
Oh, God. There goes another C-minus level, D-level fighter.
All right, man. So while we're talking about Leonard, LRB, Floyd, they've been making a lot of noise, attacking the Canelo Alvarez camp. A lot of our Latino fan base has been keeping close tabs on this conversation, but LRB is coming after everybody. He's coming after, this is crazy, man, but Eddie Hearn is 6'5", and he used to box as an amateur. And and he's talking about, I'll fight Eddie Hearn. I don't know what he's thinking, man, but this is Eddie Hearn. He's still got it. He's 6'5", 40 years old, but I don't know. I don't see Leonard LB being serious about fighting Eddie Hearn. Not one bit, man. I don't know where that's coming from. It's like they want to get some attention at them. His way. All right, so I want to know your final thoughts, man. Does Devin Haney have a chance at collecting all 4 belts in 2022? Can he pull off a win, not an upset, but can he outbox, because he ain't going to knock out Kambosos, can he outbox the Australian Kambosos?
I'm going to be honest. I would pick Kambosos to beat Haney because they're the same height. They're both outside fighters. And I really think Kambosos has an inside game. And I know he's going to get inside. I really think Kambosos could knock Haney out. Because I was watching a couple of Kambosos' fights. Mickey Bay, former champion, Shelby, which everybody thought Shelby won the fight, but I think Kambosos won that villainy. And the Teofimo fight again. And I analyzed Devin Haney's last couple fights myself when I had free time, by the way. And I really think Kambosos will have a plan to get inside Devin Haney, box on the outside for a while, but at the end, be able to counter Haney when he throws one of those long, white, straight punches and nail him and possibly knock him out.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to everyone who just hopped in the room. Saludos to everybody. And just remind you guys that the phone lines are active. And at any moment, if you want to hop in on any one of these topics and give your opinion, you can call the number at 702-710-3627. Shout out to Raw Boxing. What's going on, homie? He says, what up, my people? Cruz is a new star born in the lightweight division. And I have to agree with him because I feel kind of stupid. I feel stupid that I did not give Cruz enough attention and watch his highlight reel of the potential problems that he was going to bring Gervonta Tank Davis. Man, I think it was a foregone conclusion in my head that Cruz was just coming up as a last-minute replacement fighter, coming up in weight, actually being a little small for the lightweight division. Maybe, I underestimated him, and I overestimated Tank Davis. And today, on Monday morning, bro, my opinion on Tank is completely changed. Where for a minute, I thought maybe he could wipe out the lightweight division, but Floyd was protecting him, or maybe Floyd's afraid of taking the training wheels off. Now, I don't think of Tank as this killer in the lightweight division at all. Because, truth be told, the key to his success yesterday was attacking Tank Davis's body early and hard. And if another pressure Mexican fighter, and we've had so many great throughout the history of boxing, but another pressure fighting Mexican that can also box, and Raw Boxing likes to talk about these great fighters like Barrera and Morales, that when they want to brawl, they can brawl, but when they want to box, they can. And that's where Gervonta Tank Davis holds an advantage, is that when he boxes, he usually outboxes you. But I think the right Mexican type fighter, the right pressure fighter, and he doesn't even have to be Mexican, because we could insert Kambosos in there. We could insert Teofimo Lopez. Really, I don't know if Gervonta Tank Davis beats Teofimo Lopez, let alone an entirely different style fighter like Lomachenko. Drew, on that one, you got to chime in.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Tank held most of that fight. And I think when Isak was actually getting some raw, strong work in on him, he held him. And in the 12th round, people had a score for Tank. I had a score for Cruz. I didn't really see Tank throwing a lot of punches in that round. I see him winning. I actually see Tank running away from an opponent. And he couldn't hurt this guy. This guy kept coming. This guy kept landing punches. I don't see how people had Tank winning this fight. There's no way in hell Tank won this fight. This was a draw. I had it a draw. But if I had to pick somebody to win the fight, I would have picked. I had Cruz was the more likely guy to win the fight because of the way how the fight went and everything. Isak was landing punches to the body, to the head, everything. He even hurt Tank. And nobody wanted to point that out, that he hurt Tank. He hurt Tank. Now, I'm not talking about his hand. When he hit Tank, he hurt him.
Listen, I want to respond to Chauncey Pearls in the chat, because actually I tweeted, I think on Friday, that at least with Rolly Romero, the fight would have been fun. And that got like a good amount of likes, man. That got almost like nearly 20 likes. Which was boneheaded of me to say that on Friday, because in retrospect now, I don't think Raleigh would have been a better fight than Cruz. I really don't, because, I mean, we know that Rolly Romero is a very rudimentary style boxer who carries a lot of power. He's awkward, but technically he's really immature in his technique. He doesn't have the technique to go the distance with Tank. I think actually Tank would have done much better against Rolly Romero. And it's funny, Drew, that you think Rolly Romero will eventually get his chance. As of now, from what I've understood, there's been no criminal charges pressed against him. I mean, it's a possibility we'll see that fight.
Can we just agree? And I think I don't know why the WBA hasn't put this to their attention, because Didn't the WBA say that there's no secondary titles in weight classes now?
Listen, I want to bring that up because the way, if you watch Showtime, and I have a lot of my friends are great sports fans, man, but when it comes to boxing, they casually follow the sport of boxing. They get suckered into the big pay-per-views. Maybe they have one of those Amazon Fire Sticks that they can watch everything free, like millions of people stream fights illegally. And it's like they come out the woodworks. They hear that Floyd Mayweather's fighter, Tank is fighting, they're going to watch. And they'll come back to me and they'll say, oh, but isn't Tank, they just said on Showtime, Tank is the WBA lightweight champion of the world. Well, shit. I thought just last week we found out that Kambosos is undisputed because the WBC now says they changed their mind that his belt is higher than Devin Haney's belt, and therefore Kambosos is now technically undisputed, and that wasn't going back retroactive to Teofimo Lopez. But to the casual boxing fan, shit, Tank Davis is the WBA lightweight champion of the world, right? with a secondary title. Not only that, how many times did they reference how many divisions Tank has earned championship belts?
He's on one main title. That's it. That's it. But here's the other thing. The WBC is claiming Kambosos is undisputed, right? So that's BS, because I'll tell you this right now. In order for you to be considered undisputed, all the 4 sanctioning bodies have to label you as undisputed, not just one. So the WBC is for shit as usual. Showtime is for shit as usual because they try to reclaim Tank is the WBA lightweight champion, but there is no secondary titles in the WBA in any division. So now they're just using a belt as a narrative. It's a fake belt. It's a replica belt. Let's call that a replica belt now. He has a replica belt. That's probably like the replica belts go. If you look at it, if you really look at, if anybody watches wrestling and they buy those little replica belts range from $150 to maybe $250 to $300.
Well, listen,
eBay.
It's gotten so ridiculous that they're handing out certificates now. They're not even like making the belt for it. There is a belt that I do, and I just have to say from, I'm impartial to it, but I love the belt. If we're just talking belts aesthetically, the WBC made Canelo a belt. Was it the Mestizo belt? And it's like, the thing is embroidered with like all this gold, and it's Aztec. It's like an Aztec homage. That shit is badass. I would not mind having that replica belt. It's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. It's of course the WBC is gonna make some phony bullshit. They've got a YouTube belt for all I know, which Jake Paul probably holds. I want to give a quick shout out, and I passed this up on the DAZN card. There's a couple of guys I want to give, a couple of things I want to give mention to. Mark Castro from Fresno, an amateur standout. I know we've talked a lot about Xander Zayas, who is undoubtedly going to be prospect of the year this year, but Mark Castro has had a fantastic first year in boxing, getting another knockout. I really think the way they're matching him up right now, he's learning on the job as a professional. He's absolutely someone to keep your eye on in 2022. Mark Castro from Fresno. Very exciting kid. He looks just like Elon Musk. And also, you guys may have seen our friend Francisco Esparza Jr. He's a former fighter out of Las Vegas who was with Golden Boy and then did a little run at Top Rank. He's training Alma Ibarra from Mexico. And, you know, some guys, I think I was talking with D-Style, and goes, damn, this chick Jessica McCaskill's fighting she's not even competitive. Jessica McCaskill was on the undercard. And our friend Francisco Esparza, we had him here because his fighter Alma Ibarra had become the mandatory for Jessica McCaskill. And he responded to me on Saturday night because I wanted to know what happened with that, right? So he tells me, look, they signed a different girl, and due to COVID issues, that girl got canceled. They offered the fight to Alma at the last minute on a Monday with just a week's notice. And they lowballed his fighter, Alma Ibarra. and she declined. I mean, first of all, the girl, the fighter, Alma Ibarra, she's been waiting for this opportunity her whole life, this championship opportunity to fight the undisputed Jessica McCaskill, and they give her a week's notice. That's effed up, and as a mandatory, she deserves a full training camp, right, Drew? I know you're on your phone, but guys, my friend's fighter deserves a full camp to fight the undisputed champion, female champion, welterweight champion of the world, Jessica McCaskill. So Jessica McCaskill was brought on there kind of as a showcase. She's been doing her thing on the mic. Hopefully my boy's going to get a shot with her in 2022. Yo, JC, shout out to JC. So thank you guys for that. I just wanted to give my friend a shout out, Francisco Esparza. He's been on the roundtable before with HCP. He's been on our show, and hopefully his fighter will get that crack at Jessica McCaskill, Drew. But I know you probably heard, like most hardcore fans heard, Jessica McCaskill is eyeing a Katie Taylor fight. A big super match, I think, with Katie Taylor, which is going to make a lot of money. I don't know who's moving up in weight, who's moving down in weight, or what's going on. But anyways, all right. Does Pitbull deserve the draw, Drew? I had it 7-5. I know we talked right about it. We talked about it right after the fight, man. I thought that Gervonta did just enough to edge 7-5, but because I was watching it on a crappy stream, I don't know about those total connects, man. But
hey, Dave, shh. You can't say that on the phone.
Did I say that? Listen,
yes, you said that live, man.
Listen, I can't wait to see the fight again this weekend in HD quality when Showtime puts it out for free this Saturday night. I had it 7-5, but man, I could see how that was a draw. And of course, whether you want to look at it as a legitimate reason or an excuse, there's been a pattern in the lightweight division of excuses as to why people did not perform up to their full ability. And that includes someone everyone knows you're fond of, Lomachenko, last year, when Lomachenko revealed that he was fighting with a shoulder injury that he actually got surgery for immediately after. There's something that caught my eye that made a little bit of news, and that's that Teofimo Lopez, okay? They came out with a doctor. This story made ESPN. Mark Kriegel reported this one. You guys can go to ESPN and read this if you're interested. It says, a doctor for Teofimo, all right? His doctor says, Teofimo Lopez, lucky he's not dead. After they did tests to him, they found out that he had air in his chest that compromised his breathing during the fight. All right, go ahead, go over to Mark Kriegel and read about this. Dr. Linda Dahl, she's a specialist in ENT. They think that possibly when he went to go rehydrate, he overate and ruptured his esophagus, leaving air to escape and get into the lung area. And the doctor claims that had Kambosos punched him in the chest in just the right spot, Teofimo Lopez could have possibly have been killed from that. All right. I did notice Teofimo go immediately. This is something that you and I can relate to, bro. Teofimo Lopez suffers from asthma. He went to his asthma pump immediately after the fight. But here we have a pattern in the lightweight division of reasons why people did not perform to their full ability. Teofimo has his own, says he has air in his lungs. All right. And last night, on a Sunday night, Tank Davis said, I busted my hand on this guy's head.
You know what? Shouts to the Don, cry me a river. But no, still, let's get serious. It wasn't from him eating. It was from that big-ass 300-pound guy like Joe Beep said yesterday that punched him in the chest.
Thank you. I did not get a chance to watch Joe. Shout out to Joe's show. But you know what? I read the article, and I kept thinking, he made a video to go viral with the strongest man. This guy is literally a world record holder for the strongest man in the world. He's a beast. I don't know what his name is. But he had the guy, Teofimo wanted to demonstrate to everybody in what kind of conditioning he was, and he took a shot that actually landed in between the rib cage in the chest. This dude is a massive animal, man. He could move cars and trucks and whatnot. And he had Teofimo, Yeah, Teofimo let him take his best shot at him, and it was hard, bro. And when I saw that video, I thought, this shit is fucking stupid. I'm sorry, I don't want to cuss on my show.
Fucking idiot.
But that was really reckless. That was reckless. That was just one of those things that I thought could have, it's a whole series of bad decisions in Teofimo's life, things that have happened to him that may not have been out of control. But that was his own doing. He could have avoided that. To think that you busted through your esophagus, pigging out to rehydrate, I'm going to go with the strongest man in the world busted up something in your chest, in your esophagus tract. That dude is as strong as an ox.
We should make a segment called "What a Fucking Idiot," and Teofimo can be the first recipient.
Okay, all right now.
Yeah.
Let's not kick a man when he's down.
I'm waiting. It's not kicking a man when he's down. It's him being a fucking idiot and taking a shot to the chest from a 350-pound guy.
Listen, I'm basically waiting to see what's going on with Tank's hand, because it's going to be an injury like other fighters, like Paulie Malignaggi, who had all the hand injuries, and other fighters, a whole slew. If he ends up having surgery, just like Ryan Garcia did, this is going to shorten their lifespan in the ring. The boxing historian, shout out, says Tank didn't win that fight, and he said Cruz won the last 2 rounds. And those were pivotal because I need to watch this fight again. I scored it 7-5. A lot of people had it 7-5. 2 of the judges had it 7-5. Drew says it was a draw. Did he deserve the draw?
Let's be honest. When I was watching the post-fight with Floyd being interviewed by somebody, you guys ever noticed that when Floyd gets offended or something, he tries to argue back to you like a fucking female, it's like a husband and wife fighting, but Floyd's actually the female of it. Like he actually acts like a girl really arguing with somebody. No offense, ladies, we love you.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say I'm noticing my face get more and more red. I'm drinking a really strong old-fashioned. These are oranges from my orange tree in my backyard. They're absolutely fantastic in the winter. And it's just what happens, man. My face starts to light up like a tomato when I drink. But Mad Dog says Floyd is a soccer mom. And honestly, you know what? In this post-press conference, I'm surprised at how much attention Floyd is continuing to pay to Canelo Alvarez and other people. Really, they should have been talking about Tank's performance, but they did anything but talk about Tank's performance. Here's a short clip. Listen, I kept telling my friend who had actually bet money on it, and he told me he won money. He's asking me, all right, does Gervonta knock him out under 6? And I was like, no, he definitely doesn't. But here's that uppercut, right? This is what I saw. Even I saw it. And the Showtime crew, if you were listening to the Showtime crew, they were acting like those punches were landing all night. But I never saw Isaac Cruz get hurt once in this fight. Not once. And I just feel like, man, he could have edged this out. He could have edged out his own historic upset. You know, how he just had a little bit more if he had a second gear. But the right pressure fighter who can box is going to beat Tank. And that's why Floyd Mayweather is protecting him at all costs. You know?
Not kidding, getting a rematch.
And what's really on my mind is that all these other talented guys, all these other people, even Teofimo, who made a crucial mistake chasing that high purse bid, you know, that crucial mistake, he wasted that entire year fooling around with the Trilla thing. You know, basically it's envy. Look, why is Tank getting all this money over at Showtime? Why is he the pay-per-view fighter? He probably thought I'm equally as entertaining. I'm equally as a big star. You've got Lomachenko, who's never really headlined a pay-per-view. You know, the list goes on and on of people who aren't headlining pay-per-views, let alone on a Sunday. I can't wait to see these pay-per-view numbers because I can't imagine, with everyone telling me they saw the fight but didn't pay for it, I can't imagine this thing is doing more than 250,000 buys. The last pay-per-view numbers were what, 170, 180?
They're gonna lie about it as usual.
Yeah, Sonteo Media, shout out to Sonteo Media, says, I can't remember enjoying 2 fights on the same weekend, even if there weren't any knockdowns. Yeah, both fights were good. I'm shocked to say that I enjoyed the Gervonta Tank Davis fight versus Cruz even more so, because there was that whole aura going on that shit. We could be having another historic upset. We could see the cash cow Floyd Mayweather getting upset right now. Earlier in the chat, someone said, listen, Raw Boxing said Pitbull Cruz is a new star. Let me know in the comments. Drop it in the comments after the show and let me know, man. Is Pitbull Cruz now on your top 5 lightweights for what he did against Tank Davis?
You know what? This was the battle. This is midget boxing.
No,
That's what it was.
Technically, listen, man, that term is outdated, bro. You can't say that kind of stuff anymore. Little people boxing, it is.
Okay.
Yes. Cruz is a small guy. Word. Yeah, Boxing Historian says Cruz is good, but they cherry-picked Cruz. They really did. I mean, they brought him up as a last-minute replacement. He was supposed to be on the card. He was training. It reminds me a lot of when Oscar Valdez, a couple years back in November, Oscar Valdez's opponent came in grossly overweight, and they asked Adam Blue Nose Lopez, who we interviewed this year on the Shoe Shine. He was on the card, and they said, do you want to go up 4 pounds in weight from featherweight to 130 pounds? Do you want to come up and fight? And he said, F yeah, I'll fight Oscar Valdez. We got a phone call, so let's take this call from 510 from the East Bay.
Good luck with that, Mad Dog. You're not going to see that.
5 and Dime, you're on the Shoe Shine.
Hey, what's up, Drew? What's up, Shoe Shine? It's Nando over here in the East Bay, homie. How you doing?
What's up, Nando? What's on your mind?
Hey, dude, so, how is Tank a pay-per-view star when he was only guaranteed $1 million for that fight? Like, I don't get that part. How is he such a big star where he's only getting like $1 million for a fight guaranteed? Why is he even on pay-per-view? Anyways.
That's a great question, because what I'm reading today is are you familiar with the website Groupon?
I've heard of it.
All right, so Groupon is a place where you can go and buy shit at the last minute for a great discount, right? They want to sell tinted windows, or here's some tickets to a comedy show that's not sold out. They're only $5. I'm reading that there was tickets on sale on Groupon for the Tank Davis fight at the last minute. So yeah, I mean they were boasting these claims that he sold out the Staples Center, but again with the Staples Center, they roped off the entire top section, and I think they were bragging about selling the live gate at 15,000 or so. But a few journalists have said that when they rope off the entire top section, the capacity is down to 12,000 or so. So there's just a lot of BS going around about. I mean, Tank Davis could be a fabricated star. He is a star to a segment of the boxing fan base. You know, they're marketing him well. They're marketing him perfectly, but a lot of that is kind of is an illusion, right? Well, I don't know. To me, it looks like it's an illusion they're selling him. Of all the lightweights, I don't think he merits to be the pay-per-view guy. I'm kind of disturbed why Showtime has him that way, but they've picked him. They've agreed with Floyd. Drew, does Tank deserve to be a pay-per-view star?
Guys need to stop hating on Tank. He just made $1 million. You know what? Let me just say something, man. Tank ain't no pay-per-view star. It's just let me just put it like this. When you have Little Ellaby, if I really piss people off with this next comment, I seriously don't give a fuck. So no, Little Ellaby is the cancer of boxing. That's what I credit Little Ellaby as. He's a cancer to boxing. He's one of those guys that would tell you, oh, nobody know who Devin Haney is, but I'll be honest with you right now, I bet you more than 70% in the United States don't know who the fuck Tank Davis is. I bet you 70% of those people that walk in the street and see Tank Davis want to recognize him, want to know who the fuck he is.
You know, if it wasn't LRB, it was Floyd, and they said Tank is basically paraphrasing. He is the biggest star in the lightweight division, and all these other guys that they are not in the business of losing money like these other promotional outfits. So why would they pay these guys that are so-called stars money to fight Tank? All right. What does that smell like to you? Nando, what does that sound like to you? He's basically alluding and saying Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Kambosos. None of these guys are stars, and they are not in the business of losing money. This is like Bob Arum bullshitting us and telling us that he loses money on Terrence Crawford.
You know what? Now we know where the hell Charlo gets his excuses from.
From the Leonard Ellerby school?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nando. You were going to say something?
Tells me, right, is that it just tells me that they're not paying Tank anywhere near what Devin is making from the zone or Ryan is making from the zone either, right? That's why that guarantee was so low. They can't lose money. We're only giving the guy like $1 million or maybe a little more on the fight. Man, that fight didn't probably even sell 150,000 buys, right? So there's really no upside either for him. Maybe he made another $100,000 on the upside, you know? So, and another two, all right, Tank, I think he can be a star. He's got a lot of charisma, and he's got a certain segment of fans, as he put it, that want to cheer for him, which is great. You know, the more people that are attracted to boxing, it's good for boxing, man. Whether it be the black community, Latino community, white community, whatever, I'm all for it, right? But when you're exclusively putting Tank on pay-per-view and only 150,000 people are buying it, you're not going to grow them that way. It's just not going to happen. And then you put him in with Raleigh in April or May or whenever. That's not going to do nothing either for him, you know. I think it's the same game the PBC plays with all these other fighters. They played it with Crawford. They played it with Pacquiao back in the day, right? They just want to be the A side. Even if it costs them all the money, even if it costs them like real money, they're going to be the A side for whatever that's worth. You know, it's really that perfect O and that A side are the most important things to some of these PBC fighters. And it just doesn't make any sense. Me as a boxing fan, if Tank Davis got in there with, I'll say with Ryan, and say he lost, and it was a good fight, I would watch Tank again. You know, I wouldn't be upset that he lost. It wouldn't be it wouldn't hurt my opinion for Tank if he lost to somebody, you know, as long as he was in a good fight, you know. And another thing too about this Isaac Cruz, I know everybody's wanting to hype him up like he's a badass. To me, he's just a poor man's version of Jojo Diaz. He's small and he's light hitting, man. You know, I really don't see it in Isaac Cruz either, man. To be honest, I think he caught Tank Davis at the right time, man. To be honest, man, like I don't see an Isaac Cruz either, man. I'm listening to the show, and I appreciate you guys taking my phone call.
Hey, man, I appreciate the call, Nando. I want to quickly say something, Drew, before you get that off your chest, because Santiago Media said a couple things. One was this comment about that even if it's only 12,000 and not 15,000 at the Staples Center, he's doing well in Atlanta. The gate sales are doing extremely well in Baltimore. And a couple weeks back, I went to Las Vegas to see Terrence Crawford fight Sean Porter. And that truly was sold out. And that really does hold 12,000 people. And I'm going to tell you right now, my wife could attest to that 90% of the crowd there had traveled from Nebraska. They literally traveled. You know, it's expensive to go to Vegas. I don't care. Like, you're paying for flights. You're paying for a hotel. You're paying for the tickets to the show. And they all came to support Terrence Crawford. And even though Terrence Crawford can sell a live gate, he can sell out Nebraska, he showed us he could sell out a venue in Las Vegas. He barely cracked, 175, 185 pay-per-view? He's not a pay-per-view star. I mean, it gives a little bit of a valid point to what Bob Arum is saying, that, look, Terrence Crawford, he's not a pay-per-view. He says I lose money on him. Now, he does fantastic with the live gate. Gervonta does great with the live gate too, man, but we're going to see about these numbers. The other thing I want to just respond to Santiago Media, and I would love for you to call, is this comment about what Adrian Broner has been leaking. If you follow Adrian Broner over the course of the past, his entire career, he's had ups and downs, Drew, but like the other day I saw him, man, and he was like he was cracked out on, I don't know what, making like jail food on Instagram Live. And he talks about his money problems, and he talks about how he doesn't have all his money. And those are the kind of things you used to hear about 20, 30 years ago when people were, hoarding the money of fighters, bro. So we really don't know what's going on with Gervonta Davis and his cash flow. Like Raleigh Romero was just begging for money. He's a PBC fighter, and he was begging for money the other day on Twitter. And he was giving a shout out to somebody who gave him $1,000 on a Cash App deal. Oh, man.
You know what? I'm really surprised that the PBC is still around with the pay-per-views, with the fights that they put on pay-per-view that aren't really pay-per-view worthy fights and everything. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if Haney, Lomachenko, even Ryan Garcia make more money than Tank.
Man, I don't know, man. We'll see what holds is in the cards for Gervonta Tank Davis. If he's got a serious hand injury, I want to see X-rays. I want to hear all about it. Was it just a sprain that exploded with swelling? One thing about Pitbull Cruz, man, is he really merits the name Pitbull because his head is, anyone who's ever owned a Pitbull knows just how damn hard the skull of a Pitbull is. You could punch a Pitbull and they ain't feeling it, man. I'm not saying I've ever punched a Pitbull, but I've owned Pitbulls. He got a tough skull, and some of those punches, like he said, were landing to the top of the guy's skull. They were being blocked by the glove. They were being blocked. The guy Pitbull Cruz has a hell of a chin, and you're going to need that to beat Gervonta Tank Davis. So let me just give a quick shout out to everyone in the room who's here. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. I'm going to get on to a couple gossip topics real quick, Drew. Does anybody give a shit, even though it was a great experience being on a show the other day during the Tyson Fury fight? We did a live stream with Jake Paul's trainer. Shout out to J. Leon Love. But here's something interesting. And it's been 2 major cancellations. Canceled. Tyson Fury's baby half brother cannot fight. Apparently, he's got some kind of serious lung infection that he's dealing with. So he's pulling out a week before the fight. We're talking about Showtime. Steven Espinosa took a huge risk turning Jake Paul, one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, turning him into a legitimate boxing star. I'm not sure, dude. If the Tank pay-per-view numbers are low, does Jake Paul do even better fighting Tyron Woodley again? Tyron Woodley taking the fight with 1 week's notice. I don't know if anybody cares about this. He's got his own audience. J. Leon Love was going to be on the card, but people are accusing Tommy Fury of ducking. That's usually the case, man. Oh, the Don says Tommy ducked Jake. Already, for reals, people are accusing him of ducking, man. I don't know what's going on. I will say this, man. About this fight. There was some legitimate issues with drug testing and lack of drug testing. I don't know if that was had anything to do with it. D-Style is saying, I bet Tyson Fury pulled out his brother and didn't want to embarrass the family. I really don't know what's up with that, man. A lot of people wanted to see Tommy Fury kick Jake Paul's ass.
Well, they saw an X-ray of what was wrong with him about his chest.
You did?
Yeah, they had they showed an X-ray and everything. So it's something real serious, he said. But you know what? I don't understand how this fight's on pay-per-view now with Tyron Woodley and him, because how the hell Tyron Woodley had time to train? He's not even in training at Power.
No, he's not in training camp. You're right, man. He's taking the fight with today's Monday, bro. It's announced today he's taking the fight. Unless this guy is just living the athlete's life and doesn't party, doesn't do drugs, and is like consistently been in the gym. But I doubt it, bro. He's a retired MMA fighter. He's taking this fight at last minute's notice. G Funky says this fight was crap anyways. But man, Steven Espinosa over at Showtime, he's got a job to do putting on this production regardless in Florida. This might end up being, for all we know, one of their biggest losses of the year. Will Jake Paul's fame carry this card? J. Leon Love was going to fight, I believe, an aging MMA fighter. It's kind of like a whole charade. I was excited. It looks like all we got left is this True Boxing fans got this top-ranked card. It's featuring Lomachenko and Comey. It's featuring the return of Xander Zayas at Madison Square Garden. Something that the young Puerto Rican star has been looking forward to. I'm looking forward to him fighting this Saturday. He is prospect of the year in my eyes. There's another fight that got canceled, Drew, and this is not necessarily gossip because I have a lot of respect for Gennady Golovkin, but Gennady Golovkin at 40, he's turning 40 or is 40 now, but he was going to be the last fight of the year in Japan against the gold medalist winner, Murata. That fight was sold out, and these Japanese people paid a pretty penny to see Triple G fight Murata, their Japanese hero, a gold medalist in the Olympics. The fight is off, man. Japan, and I was like watching this closely when this Omicron variant, dude, the fight it's not canceled, it's postponed indefinitely.
Nah, they need to. This is what's gonna happen now. You ain't getting that fight, Triple G. If you really are about like here's the thing. It's time to move up to 168, or it's time to fight Demetrius Andre or Jamal Charlo. Other than that, if you're gonna wait another year or two to fight this Murata guy, anytime you might not even go to Japan anytime soon, man. It's time to move up or fight or go for unification. And if you refuse to go for unification, if you take a easy ass fight like you've been doing, then your legacy ain't worth shit. Your legacy's gonna be you got robbed by Canelo. You got robbed in 2 Canelo fights.
Well, you're gonna set a firestorm off.
Who gives a fuck? They can cry a fucking river if they want.
Listen, I want to apologize really quickly while I interrupted Drew. 209. If you want to call back, I apologize. I missed the call on the call screen. But Gennady Golovkin, that fight was sold out. It seems like he's going to sit around and wait for the country of Japan to open their borders because these people sold out that fight. People paid a pretty penny for those tickets. And when I mean a pretty penny, like the Japanese the Japanese currency, like whatever we pay, it's a lot more than that. So I guess he's going to sit around and wait while there's some great fights to be made. There's already a Ukrainian guy who's going to fight, not a Ukrainian, a Kazakh guy. I can't even pronounce his name, but he's not that bad, and he's getting a fight with Bubu Andrade. It's not Triple G. It should be Triple G. I'd like to see these guys at the zone that are under the same banner fight each other at middleweight, but it looks like Triple G is going to sit around and wait. There's a good argument. There's a good argument that if he wanted that third rematch with Canelo, that he would move up and wait.
I don't understand how Andre's been fighting all these mandatories. He's supposed to be allowed to have a voluntary defense.
Like you said, man, maybe he'll get that. Maybe he'll get a chance to stay fresh.
Honest,
what's the point?
I like the guys fighting, though. I like the guys fighting Janabek. I like
He's
this
a tough
guy.
out. He's a tough out. And this is
He's a good boxer, but I think Andre's going to outbox him, but I love Janabek. Hell of a fighter.
Marion Brown says GGG should fight Munguia. That's a fight I've been waiting for years. Most of you guys might know that Munguia was offered that fight when he was a fighter at 154 before he even came onto the scene and was recognized. And the sanctioning bodies, and I believe the State Athletic Commission said, no, you can't fight this guy. He's at a weight class below you and he's not ranked. And so that nixed that fight. That happened 4 years ago. It's a fight that's prime. Munguia has been showing a lot of improvement under the tutelage of Morales. That's a fight I'd love to see because Munguia he's got some good names on his resume, man, but he needs another marquee win over an aging champion like Triple G, man. That fight would sell really well here statewide. No, you're shaking your head?
I think it's time for the WBC to make Charlo defend that belt against a Raw. I really think, Eddie Hearn, he claims that he sent a letter to the WBC and WBO making Andre Charlo's mandatory. And apparently the WBC doesn't want to believe in unification, I guess, on this division, I guess. And Licio wants to let Charlo have one fight a year. And not really. Here's the best guy Charlo faced was actually Lomachenko.
By the way, Derevchenko, I read that he's netted out of all the middleweights. He has had the highest purses. He's netted over $10 million in fights, and he's not won the middleweight championship. And the other middleweights are scratching their head going, how does what's Derevchenko's managers doing right, bro? He's earned $10 million and come up short in all his big fights. $10 million is not bad, man. He lives in Ukraine. They said he lives quite nice in Ukraine, man, earning $10 million. But we got a comment here that says that Julius Streeter says, Triple G should move up to 168. At his age, carrying that weight, man, I think he'll do not so bad. And honestly, it makes a loud statement. if he doesn't go through with this Murata fight, if he does go through with the Murata fight, if he wants to get that trilogy fight in the books for the history books, I would really like to see him fight Canelo Alvarez one more time. I know some people are
this.
Yeah.
Murata's gonna eventually, like, there's no really top 10 middleweight in any sanctioning body that's Japanese. So if Murata cannot defend that belt in a mandatory, they're eventually going to put him as a champion in recess and put that and make him make two guys fight for that belt, which, you know, we're probably not going to see that until maybe for another 6 months if Murata can't fight another fight, you know?
I hear you, man. I hear you. A lot of people have some strong opinions. I hope to not see Triple G continue to be sidelined because age is not in his favor whatsoever. I know he was looking at this probably as a big cash out fight. Fighting the Japanese guy. We'll see what happens with that. It looks like the end of 2021. This is all we got left is next Saturday. And I'm looking forward, Drew, to doing a recap for 2021. Shout out to everybody, D Styles, G Funky, everyone from HCP in here. Thank you guys bringing your wonderful audience over here. I'm gonna make that announcement. Drew and I are thinking about possibly doing a show this Friday night, kind of a happy hour show recapping the best of 2021. It may be this Friday or it may be next Monday, but make sure you hit the notifications and subscribe because we're gonna be doing a wrap up of our top press conferences. Press conferences, those aren't any worth of shit. Now, some of them were really good this year. Our top fights and our top upsets, because it looks like that's all the boxing we're going to get, and it turned out to be not such a bad year in 2022. I got a lot of hope for that. So going on to this Saturday, Drew, one of your favorite fighters is back in the ring. Once pound for pound champion of the world, Lomachenko, coming off a fresh win off of Nakatani. It was a very impressive KO performance, and I had to wonder, what was up with that shoulder he claimed was hurt when he fought Teofimo? Okay, post-surgery, it's fine, it's great. I mean, it's like the old Lomachenko. So I need to see Lomachenko knock out Richard Comey because I've already seen Teofimo Lopez knock out Richard Comey. For me to get Lomachenko back in that top 5 with all these new people and all these people switching, and now you got Kambosos, man, I need him to get a knockout. And Drew, I'm telling you this, if I see a knockout of Comey, I'm going to start thinking, why not Kambosos? Why doesn't Bob Arum say, hey, remember Lomachenko? Remember how much he used to sell? Did you see the Madison Square Garden here? How about him? How about him will he go down to Australia? I mean, all these other guys are claiming they'll go down to Australia. How do you have this fight going, man? Let's go with our prediction.
I'm going to say this right now. None of these top guys beat Vasily Lomachenko.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going to say this right now. I predict a 7th round TKO to the Matrix, high-tech Lomachenko. He's going to get inside like he always does to a big fighter, because Comey got a nice reach. Don't get me wrong, Comey is a good fighter. He just got caught. But I think Lomachenko is going to get inside, outbox him and counter him and eventually stop him. I'm saying the 7th round TKO Lomachenko, and Lomachenko is the second best fighter in this division until he beats Kambosos, because he is the number 1 ranked fighter in the WBC and the WBO.
Interesting. So, shout out to Maestro. He says HCP was definitely present in Las Vegas. I know he's been doing he's been at the big fights, and I heard he was possibly at the Vegas fight, if you want to call him real quick. But we're talking about Lomachenko and Comey this Saturday at the Madison Square Garden. It looks to be the last fight. And I wanted to ask the chat, does Lomachenko need to knock out? Does he need a KO to lure Kambosos? Because Kambosos has been doing this world tour, traveling around after his historic upset, looking for an opponent. He showed up to see Tank fight. He showed up to see Devin Haney. Man, I honestly think Lomachenko's could be as big of a name as both of those young guys. Really. And I'm waiting to see what happens this Saturday. I do need to see a KO, man. I personally need to see a KO. So I'm going to give you my prediction. I think Lomachenko beats Comey. And someone just said something right here that Teofimo had already stepped up to fight Lomachenko. Yes, that comment, yes. Teofimo did everything he had to do, almost like Canelo Alvarez did this year, fighting every champion along the way to become, according to the WBC, Kambosos is now undisputed. So I guess Teofimo was undisputed, all right? I mean, unless we're rewriting history. But he did that. He did that. And so Lomachenko, like the rest of these guys in the lightweight division, is looking to rebuild his brand, rebuild his stock. And Drew, he had all those belts. Teofimo took his belts. Now Kambosos has got those belts, man. In 2022, does Drew Evo think Lomachenko has a chance at snatching all the belts back?
You know what? When Usyk, before he moved up to heavyweight, I said Usyk was going to win a heavyweight title. And I told you the guy he was going to beat for a title. And I was right on both of them. Lomachenko is going to be the undisputed lightweight champion before 2022 is over. Because, and I'm not saying he's going to beat Kambosos and win all those belts and make some undisputed, because that's not undisputed. Four sanctioning bodies have to recognize you as undisputed. He's not undisputed, guys. Teofimo wasn't. Lomachenko wasn't. Actually, he wasn't, because he had a franchise belt also. But I think Lomachenko is going to fight the winner of Haney Kambosos, because I think Haney and Kambosos are going to fight, and I think Kambosos beats Haney. And I be honest with you, I think Lomachenko, I think it would be a good fight for like the first 5 or 6 rounds with Lomachenko and Kambosos. But I think Lomachenko destroys him in the second half of the fight. Takes over in the second half and really possibly stops Kambosos.
Well, one thing's for sure is there's not a huge size difference in my book. And I'll probably give Lomachenko the speed advantage. I think it's a great fight, and I'm excited to see Lomachenko back in the ring this Saturday night, because a lot of people just kind of forgot about Lomachenko this year, and it's in an era where this year where we saw lightweight fighters who claim to be kings of the division fight once a year. I'm excited to see Lomachenko back in the ring. Like I said, I'm excited to see the young Puerto Rican sensation, Xander Zayas. I'm excited for our collaboration with HCP, who we've been, working along sidelines with everyone involved, Maestro, D-Sauce, everyone, the whole family over there. We've been participating. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I dropped a little video clip of me and Christine in my new intro. So don't miss In the Ring with Christine on Wednesday nights, where the ladies do a great job. Shout out to G Funky, who congratulations on the baby coming ahead. Listen, the lightweight division is undoubtedly, in my opinion, the number one most exciting division in all of boxing. It's got the attention of the casual fan base. It's got the attention of the hardcore fan base, Drew. We're going to wrap up this year with one of your favorite fighters back in the limelight. And before you know it, man, 2022 is going to be rolling around, and we'll be bitching about all the fights we wish were happening and aren't happening. And I'm excited for our second year on YouTube. Drew, you got something you want to address? Because I'm going to give you the floor as we wrap up tonight's edition of the Shoe Shine.
I'm going to be honest with everybody. The 4 kings have all been exposed, and the 4 kings will all fall, and the main king will rise again. And we all know who the main king is.
Oh, boy.
You could call me fanboy, but you could kiss my ass at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, does Raleigh Romero, who never makes any sense to me, And who
He
was
doesn't at all.
he never makes any sense to me. Is he making perfect sense that Kambosos is going to be a one-hit wonder? No disrespect to what he did. It was magical. It was one for the history books. But we've actually seen guys pull off fights like that in the history books where they pulled off the performance of a lifetime only to have it all disappear in the very next fight. Man, I can't wait to see Kambosos defend his titles.
I don't think he's gonna. The only way he's a transitional champion if he fights Lomachenko next. I really think that. I think he beats Haney. I think he beats Ryan Garcia because I think Ryan Garcia, the thing with Ryan Garcia, he has that Amir Khan weakness with putting his chin out there.
Hey.
And I think the only guy he beat was Luke Campbell, and Luke Campbell's not really that big of a puncher, knocked him down. He beat and Kambosos already beat Teofimo, so he's out of the freaking picture and everything. Who else? Devin Haney. Devin Haney got exposed. He's pillow fisted. I like to have people would have a pillow fight with Devin Haney. He'll probably make more money having pillow fights after he gets beaten up. Whoever beats him. So that's my final thought on that shit.
Hey, appreciate everyone who dropped by. Hit us up with a like. Everyone who dropped by the Shoe Shine. Shout out to everyone at HCP. Somebody said at the end of the day, Lomachenko might be the last guy standing. And then Joe Lopez, 40 ounce, who is glad to have you back, and that says, hey, don't forget Salido exposed Loma. They've all been exposed one way or another. That's what makes this damn division so exciting. I mean, I just told Raw Boxing in his chat on his Sunday show, I don't mind seeing Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney at all. Two explosive, hand speed galore. Ryan Garcia with the explosive power. Ryan Garcia with the horrible defense. Devin Haney with the pillow hands. I mean, I don't know what would happen in that fight, but I'll tell you what. If they're on the zone together in Golden Boy, those two need to take a crack at it in 2022. And Ryan Garcia needs to stop chasing Gervonta Tank Davis because Leonard Ellerby has made it clear that you're not coming anywhere near Tank Davis. I'm Dave from the 408. You guys can hit me up on Twitter at the Mike and Dave 1. My Instagram page will be up next week. My co-host Drew Evo. Drew, where can they find you on IG and Twitter?
IG Drew Evo, Twitter Drew Evo. You can also follow my gaming channel, twitch.tv/Philly Irish Drew Evo. That's all I have.
All right, guys.
I'm tired.
Hey, don't forget to check out Al Chile tomorrow with Chicano Prophet and all his great co-hosts. I believe at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube. Go to Al Chile. A great show tomorrow. They'll be rescoring a great fight along with their wonderful analysis and commentary. So don't forget to check out Chicano Prophet. We'll catch you guys next Monday. Could be doing a show this Friday, so make sure you hit subscribe and notifications. I'm Dave from the 408. Drew Evo. Peace. We out.